show you some examples. For marketplace, I will answer all questions after my speech. Marketplace have different products with pictures, with description of these products, have feedbacks, have comments, has feedbacks, sorry for my English. And all of these types should be consistent. And for example, for the picture, we should check that at the picture there is only product, there are no any inscriptions or watermark or something else. Also for feedback, we could somehow check that the feedback is not fraud and it doesn't contain some advertisement. Okay. The other example is a very interesting service of communities. It's my client, and this project is very interesting really because we can't use our regular task to this client. We moderate questions, answers, posts, and different profiles for this service. And this service, there are many experts that could just discuss the influence of casino at the world culture. And we can just cut all mentions of casino. And the other, my big client is a service of services. Our big client is a service of services. There are workers and who provide some services. The visitors of this service could make some order, could describe their situation where they need help. They could also leave some feedback. We use for each types of these data our regular tasks of checking advertisement, casino, and so on. But also we have specific special task for each type. For example, for avatars, we need also to check that at the avatar we can see only one person, that the face is really big, so we could compare it with some documents and easily recognize this person when this person will come to our home to make some service. But at the creation of tasks, our work doesn't finish. We also need to get high quality of our markups, of our moderation. So, and at this slide, you can see the problems that don't allow us to reach this goal at the first step. You could see the fraud attempts, some accidental mistakes. We have dim borders between classes in our instruction. We have unexpected cases and complex tasks. To solve these problems, we should collect a big set of honeypots to increase fraud attempts. We should use a majority vote or recheck to avoid accidental mistakes. Our support system help Tolokers to answer their questions. Mistake analysis is the best way to find dim borders. Retrain and instruction edition help us to teach our Tolokers. And composition also helps us to increase the complexity of tasks. After all these steps, often we need to repeat all these steps from the start to get even high quality. And I want to say that I don't want to tell now about majority vote and our support system, because thanks to our colleagues, we use some ready solutions. But there are other points I want to show you how we use, how we work with them. As an example, I will take service of services and the moderation of avatars at this service. After communication with our client, with the service, with the manager of this service, we can make some tasks. For example, like this. On the left side, you could see some avatar and other additional information about worker. At the right side, Toloka could make could mark some labels. He could mark only one good labels or a few bad labels. In case of bad labels, the worker will get some some clear information about why his avatar is not suitable for this service. So we have some project. Let's launch it. And this is the first stage. And the state of this stage is very bad. Our markups or our labeling is very bad, because the lockers or even some robots could choose random labels and get some money. To avoid this, we always use honeypots. And to make it good, we need to collect a big set of honeypots. So we make the clone of this project and choose 30 very good Telokers. Let's name them moderators. And we compare their markups by the Telokers and markups made by moderators, and choose only the tasks that where markups are the same, and majority vote give us the high level of quality. So this stage is not very bad, but sometimes our clients come to us and with some particular cases and say that there are bad labels, and we need to spend a lot of time to research each of these cases. So we need somehow to prioritize these tasks, and we need to collect some statistics to understand our quality, to understand where is the where is the biggest problem. But after this step, we can see that our moderators can also make mistakes. It could be accidental mistakes, or they can't also understand instruction or understand it in different ways. So we don't have quality, we have just degree of difference between markups. So we decide that our moderators should see the workers' responses, the workers' markups. These decrease the level of mistakes that moderators could make. And also the moderators can write some examples or some comments to explain their position or to alarm us about about dim borders and gray area. So we have the following pipeline. We have the quality in moderators' opinion, and we need to teach them, but it's rather difficult to teach 30 people, 30 moderators. And we choose the best moderators, the best of the best Tolokers that could help us to solve this problem. And make for them a special task where this super moderator could see the Tolokers' responses and moderators markup. They could comment the markups, they could leave feedback, they could answer the questions of assessor or moderators questions. And we have the fifth stage. The moderator have a client vision, they have a real quality. We can analyze corner cases and we have examples for training. Our super assessor could also collect for us unique examples with bad in the gray area. So the main problem at this stage is decomposition and extraction addiction. But these steps are the most interesting, they are the most creative, and exactly these steps should be up to us tech managers or analytics. So at the end of all this process, we have a big set of honeypots. We could make easily mistake analysis. We have some examples for training, and also we have inspiration to make instruction addition and decomposition. So that's all.
Maria, thank you so much. So this was the first part of our talk. The next talk will be about from Natalia, but before, guys, if you have any questions about the moderation process that Maria just graciously described, please feel free to unmute yourself and just ask your questions or write in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat right now also.
I stopped sharing accidentally, sorry.
Oh, it's
and
fine.
I could return everything back.
Well, if there are no urgent questions, then I think we can continue with Natalia's talk and then, you know, open up to the discussion for sure. Right now, I see like a speaker's mode.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm not very experienced talker.
Try another one.
No.
I think so. If you go down at the bottom of the page, like down, you know where you. No, just go like very down to the right at the bottom of the page, right corner. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Here.
Yes. Try this. Oh, it's still a speaker mode.
No, it's still speaker mode. Maybe I can
use slideshow or something like this.
Yeah.
Try. Yep. It works now. Cool. So this was a very quick instruction of how to use Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. You're from Microsoft. Could you please help?
Yeah. So yeah, now we see all the slides all right. Okay, so
Great.
Natalia, please also, introduce yourself, tell us like from which particular service you're coming from, and maybe okay.
Yeah, so my talk today is going to be about, I think this is also a wrong presentation. I'm so sorry.
No worries, we can have like a music pause if you want.
Yeah, at least you are sure I'm a human and not like AI or something.
You're not some robot. It's all right. Slideshow button.
Yeah, I think this is why. This is because I actually took second monitor today, so yeah, it's given me some
No
technical
problem.
issues.
No problem.
That's right. Let's begin. So here's my case study.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
see
talk
any
about.
slides. I don't see any slides right now.
Oh my god.
No worries. It's
Shame.
totally fine. And it's also 8 p.m. like 8:30 p.m. in Moscow. So
Yeah.
Thursday night. Well, maybe Maria can show you can show your slides, and you can just say next if you want to. Whatever is more.
Let me try one more time, okay?
Sure.
And view slideshow. And do you see anything?
I see the speakers mode.
You see the speakers mode and use slideshow. Yep.
Yay! Now it works.
Working. Great.
Congratulations.
Okay, so now everything's fine. Calm
Hopefully,
down.
pray for me.
Guys, it was a break. Now we have a second part of our moderation talk.
Yep. I'm going to share some details about our case. My name is Natalia, and I work for UGC recommendation service, which is called Yandex.Zen. And I'm basically responsible for all the moderation and the quality of the feed and applying content policies to the content that gets created. So here's agenda for today. I'm going to give some details about the service. I'm going to give examples of how our typical task looks like. I'll also share some details about specific challenges that we face when we moderate our content. And give some details about the pipeline that we built that allowed us to scale in amount of projects and amount of tasks that we upload to Toloka. And I'm gonna share some key results that we've been able to achieve by applying this pipeline. About the service that I work for, this is a personalized newsfeed which shows some content from large digital medias in Russia and from our own blog platform. So yeah, it works like the newsfeed. It gets user preferences and it shows the content that users might like. And any person can come to our blog platform and create some content that might be shown to any of our 20 million daily audience. And a lot of new authors get registered daily, about 5,000 or even more right now, I think. And also important detail is that we let our popular authors to earn money on our blog platform. So we share some revenue with them. This, of course, can create some problems since it's all user-generated. People and also bad actors, they usually are motivated to create the content which is unsafe, provocative, and sensational, and even crosses our content policies, which can be like porn, adult content, hate speech, and stuff like that. And we also see in the data that the content which is provocative and which violates our content policies, it gets more user engagement in our recommendation service. I think like all platforms face that. So you basically can't live without moderation and without filtering your content. And you can say that problematic content, in a way, it cheats the algorithm. So here are not complete, but a list of tasks that we have for our crowdsourcing. We have 10 projects for articles and for videos, and we have 4 different projects for comments, and more than 10,000 of tasks get uploaded to Toloka every day. On the left are listed some of the projects that we have. Projects for clickbait, for hate speech materials, bad medical advice, spam, adult content, violence and shock content, illegal, COVID-19 conspiracy. This is a new one, I can say. Yeah. So the content which might be unsafe for users, which we assume we do not want much on our newsfeed. Here is an example of how typical crowdsourced task looks like. Most of the time it's classification tasks. Sometimes you have to choose between 2 labels. Sometimes for some projects, we ask workers to select between multiple labels. For example, it's usually when we assume that some content policies have different gradations. For example, we have a project for hate speech, and we ask our performers to choose between extreme hate speech, between insult, and between toxic content. On the right, you can see an example of a COVID-19 conspiracy project. Here you can choose between COVID-19 conspiracy and just COVID-19 is to label the content which mentions COVID. So we can put a warning label on the content like this, which leads to authorities, information sources, something official. You probably have seen it on different platforms like Facebook or Instagram and stuff like this. Yeah, and the label for content which is not about COVID-19 or if it's unavailable. This is a very typical task for our moderation pipeline. We've used our Teloka. We use Teloka in multiple ways that we find useful. First, of course, it's collecting labels, collecting data sets to train our classifiers. And most of the time, classifiers get to decide if we show or not show the content in the newsfeed. But sometimes classifiers are unsure. And we, in a situation like this, we want to send the content to Toloka to get a label from the actual human. We also want to put special attention to the content that is trending on our platform because it gets lots of views, lots of engagement, and we want to label it even if classifiers said it's okay. We also calculate useful metrics using Toloka. For example, on the right, you can see this is a metric of a bad content share that we show daily. And we find it useful to monitor long-term and short-term effects to monitor the health of our moderation pipelines to see if we might have any problems right now. When we ask workers to label tasks like this, we found that we face some challenges which are specific to our platform. First of all, all of our articles and videos, they are freshly published. So we can just upload our control tasks at once and rely on them, because in this way, performers would distinguish between control tasks and regular tasks, because all control tasks are old. Another reason to update control tasks daily is because we are working with fast changing media environment, and new agenda gets new agenda can be we can face it every day, and we have to mirror this changing agenda in our control tasks to ensure the quality in these content types as well. We also can't rely really on the majority vote, because our project, they run sometimes they run several years, and if we rely on majority vote, we can see it. This social demographic bias, it gets in our control task, and the quality of the project degrades over time. I also want to mention some details that we have different types of performers. It's the same principle that previous orator shared before. We have our regular Tolokers, which of course who of course have high capacity and speed and low cost. but you have to control the quality of them, like with really much attention. And we also have our moderators, which are actual persons, well, as well as Tolokers, of course, but like we know them, and they work for our service specifically. There are about 50 of them, and we have the opportunity to individually train them to fix their mistakes, to work with them. And we also found that they can cheat without quality control. We also have expert moderators who are very trusted and who have great expertise in instructions and in specific on content, who are also able to help us with instructions, with exams, with trainings, and with mistake analysis. But we, of course, can get lots of labels from them on a daily basis. Here's a structure that we used to have. What we used to have is our moderators and our Tolokers. They labeled different tasks, but in the same projects. Moderators labels, we use them to label trending content because we wanted them to get labeled more precise. And as for Toloka, we collected data sets for classifiers. We labeled so-called gray area of classifiers, where classifiers are unsure about the label. And we also used Toloka to get quality metrics for classifiers. This was not very convenient and was very difficult to scale because analytics team, what they used to do is like we generated our control tasks once and we saw the quality, which was fine. And with the time, project degraded, and we either updated honeypots from time to time occasionally, or we relied on major vote. And as I mentioned, we got our labels biased with the time. And the also downside was that moderators had to work 24-hour shifts. Well, not like one person worked for 24 hours, but we had to have moderators who used to work at night as well. So the natural solution, a natural thought was, why don't we use moderators to control the quality of Toloka? But we also wanted to control the quality of moderators. And we also wanted to have some transparency about the actual quality of labels of our projects, because actual quality is not always equal the quality on control tasks. It has some specifics. And we've built so-called quality control ladder, which gave us the opportunity to scale a number of tasks and a number of projects, and also shorten the time to create a new project for new content policy. And we also got transparency and we got much better quality control in every step. We also disabled 24-hour shifts for moderators. Here I'm gonna tell a little bit more about each step, each pair. So the first step is Toloka that helps classifiers. Yeah, we're still collecting, of course, data sets for classifiers and still labeling gray area. And we now build quality metrics of classifiers daily. We calculate precision and recall of classifiers. They also want to mention that to get unbiased data sets for classifiers, we are uploading to Toloka 1% of random content that gets created daily. I also wanted to mention that we found that Toloka is very useful to not just calculate metrics of the state of our system, for example, bad content share, but we also use it to evaluate our A/B experiments. For example, we want to estimate the share of clickbait that we have in our experiment group and in our control group when we run some updates for our ranking algorithms. Yeah, here's a typical example of how recall metrics looks like, especially for spam models. We found that if you don't update classifiers, spam, it changes rapidly because bad actors are motivated to get some shows and to cheat the algorithm. And here's one of our spam models, and you can see that the recall of the spam models, it degrades over time. Here I have 2 lines because we have like 2 thresholds for a model. With one threshold, we just ban the content, and with other threshold, we send it to Toloka. Yeah, let's move to the next step. Next step is how moderators help Tolokers. Moderators, they label content daily, and we send samples from Toloka to the moderators, and we build quality metrics. The metrics, as I mentioned earlier, the actual metrics of the stream of labels that we're getting. As soon as moderator put a label on a task, we upload this to control tasks. And we also found that update of we are now running an update of our exams. We update our exams like once in 2 weeks, and we found that it also boosts quality because it helps with bad actors in Toloka, and it also helps to reflect the change in media agenda. We also use, I want to mention that we use moderators labels to also build metrics for a system for the share of bad content in our feed. But of course, we have much less of labels daily, and we use this to estimate the number of bad shows in a quarter of the year, for example. Here you can see a screenshot. This is an actual screenshot of the quality of the projects that we saw when we started to implement this infrastructure. What we saw in the data is we saw that just by implementing this pipeline, for some projects, we boosted this quality and it went up. For example, you can see it on the green and yellow line at the bottom. For some projects, it was not that easy. This is usually when the problem is not with honeypots, when the problem is with instructions which might be unclear or ambiguous or something like this. But this transparency allows us to have a lot of projects and to see which project we should give attention to right now, which project degraded inequality. Let's move to the next step, and it's how expert moderators help moderators. The situation is a little bit different here because expert moderators are like very expensive, and we can't afford them to work daily and to create control tasks daily. So we found some cheat, and we performed something different. Every day, we call it, it's like our know-how. We create from a random number of publications of the content, we create a small pool with a really high overlap, and we call it daily secret exam. This way, every moderator who work on this project this day, we also put a high priority to this pool, so that we could be sure that moderator who work on this project this day, it will for sure put some labels on this daily secret exam. But for this exam, we don't know the true labels for them yet. So weekly, every expert moderator who is responsible for some project, who have expertise in this project, he or she sits and he put labels on all these daily secret exams. And this way, we can use one expert moderator label to estimate the quality of every moderator who worked on this project this week. This way, we have individual scores for every performer, and we can work with them individually. Also, we actually, our expert moderators, some of them can just work in our Toloka admin interface. They can create exams, they can create training, they can update instructions. And yeah, we trust them highly, and they help a lot. And we run some processes for regular analysis of mistakes that we see in the data. Yeah, here is the example of the table of moderator and the accuracy that we estimated according to these daily secrets exams. We also built backend infrastructure. I will not share lots of details because I don't think it's too relevant, but we basically the goal was to automate all these pool generations to generations of the generation of these secret exams, the update for exams and stuff like this. We just automated this on backend and with calls to Toloka API. Some important features are that we want the pool sizes to be small enough to get the pool for the pools to be closed with low latency, because when you have a large pool size, you might have to wait longer for it to be closed. We also implemented different priorities for tasks with different SLAs because we upload different tasks to Toloka. For some of them, it's, for example, for trending content, we don't want to wait too long, and we have a high priority for these tasks. But for some tasks, for example, when we estimate the results of A/B experiments, we might wait for up to 7 days, and it's fine. So we wanted to have this flexibility. We also want, since we have different tasks that send content to Toloka, sometimes they send the same content, and we want to avoid that. We want to just reuse the label that we already have. The team that runs all of it is one moderation lead who works with expert moderators, and some of these expert moderators are also team leads which run operations with moderators teams. We also have 3 analysts which support and create new dashboards, monitorings, and who support projects technically. And we have a back team of 3 people. It's not like they work 8 hours a day, all of them, but sometimes we want to implement some new functionality and stuff like this. Other improvements that we found useful, as was mentioned before, is that when you have a really complex task, what you can see on a regular basis is the quality of the complex task is much worse than the quality of the simple task. And it's not just about instructions. Sometimes it's just about the number of labels. And when you decompose tasks to more simple ones, you usually get quality boost. Also, we found that quality-based payments works really good for both for Tolokers and for moderators. And we've got like really pleasant feedback, very grateful. And also building effective processes for moderators using Toloka. We were able to achieve quality boost as well, just by running this process, just by running regular meetings to correct mistakes, to find ambiguities in instructions, to create new trainings, and stuff like this. So the conclusion is taking care of your performers. It sometimes pays off even more than creating some complex infrastructure with a quality control. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Yes, I'm also uploading. Thank you very much, for showing us, what's really underneath this whole process of moderation. Like, it's not only Toloka, it's a team of your internal experts, like moderators and analysts. Like, it's really cool that you showed that, because sometimes I know that some people from Microsoft ask us, like, is it only Toloka or there is something more? And for moderation cases, for sure, there has to be something more, because the topics that you deal with are like so complicated and ambiguous, and I totally understand. Guys, if you have questions, please write them in the chat or on mute. We have another 10 minutes we can talk. But if there are no questions for now, I'm going to be asking them, okay? Because
I also
moderation.
Yeah, I also wanted to add something to your speech. I also wanted to ask that we found, I mentioned this in the speech, but we found that do not underestimate your like expert moderators and stuff like this. They can work with Toloka and they can help a lot. Yeah, I mean, the interface is not that hard. They mark up trainings and stuff like this. I'm real grateful for them.
Yeah, so those are the people who also create the control tasks, who constantly review them and renew them, right?
Yeah.
No, this is totally important. So we have a first question from Yoon Zhang. So I'll just speak it out loud since we have recording and we're going to share it later. So the question says, thanks for sharing. I have one quick question. What is the overall volume distribution between Ai Classifier versus Telokai versus Moderator and versus Expert Moderator?
With Toloka classifiers, I think it's 90% of the time we trust classifier, and 10% of the time, because it's not just because classifiers are really good, it's because most of the content, for example, if let's say like adult content, most of the content that gets created on a platform is not adult. And most of the time classifier is pretty sure that this is not adult because it's obviously not. And it changes over time, and for different tasks, it's a little bit different. And the more ambiguous this task, the more we have to send to Toloka. For example, with adult content, this task is either then let's say clickbait content. Clickbait, it's like AI most of the time is not that sure, but we see that it's better to create more clear data sets, and sometimes when you update classifier, it gets most of the work for decision making. So it's like iterative process, and we when you retrain classifier, you're able to send less tasks to Toloka, and you are able to ask for more quality performers. And in this way, you collect more clear data sets. And in this way, you are again training your classifiers to be better. So it's a like iterative process. With the moderators and expert moderators, I think that each expert moderator, she usually labels like from 500 to 1,000 a week, labels a week. So it's maybe like 2 or 3 days of labeling. And the rest, they have like different job to do. And with the moderators, I think the regular moderator labels, it also depends on the task, because some tasks, for example, if you have to put a label on a comment, the content is really short. And when you have to put a label on a long video content or long article, you have to be more careful. So it's usually several hundreds a day. But when I try to label content, for me, it's really hard. And I try it regular, and I also advise to do this on your projects. With my team, we have a monthly meeting when we work as Telokers.
Wow, that's so cool.
On our projects, and just to be in their skin, just to feel how it's hard. It's really hard. So when I label tasks, for me, the velocity is about 100 in a couple of hours. So I'm slow.
not skilled enough.
Yeah, I would not be able to live on this money. Sorry, if I was the Toloka. It's
Well,
not my
you work in an IT company. Well, I hope
Yeah, that's
I
why.
hope we answered your question. But coming back to your comment, Natalia, you're saying that sometimes like you have large or like long videos or large articles. Toloka, we have those performers who like to do like very simple and short tasks. Like, do you have to break down those kind of tasks for Toloka, or how do you
With
send those
video, we
down?
are currently working on a breaking down, on putting this into small pieces. Yeah, too easy to get. Yeah, to create more easy tasks.
Yeah.
Right now it's not like this, but since I work as Toloka one day a month, I can say that for most of the time, you can see the content violations right away, and you can like click on the video to make sure there is no unsafe content here.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Okay.
most of the content violations are really simple, but with more difficult cases, we just send it to moderators or expert moderators. For example, if we have lots of complaints from users and the author is good and we have to put special attention, yeah, so we usually send like this complex tasks to moderators or expert moderators if
So
we're unsure about it.
Makes sense. Any more questions? I have one more. So if I may ask, Natalia, so can you tell us, like, is your service like global? Like, which kind of markets do you cover? And why am I asking is because somewhere like hate speech can be like harmful, and in some countries like it cannot, or in some countries people see it as porn, and in some countries people are totally okay. Do you have to deal with those things?
I have experience like this right now. Well, our main focus is in Russian market, and all our crowdsourcing is in Russian market. But I think a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3, we tried to launch it Vietnam and in Turkey. And we face this different content problems. For example, in Turkey, it gets more, I think, Muslims. So they wanted content policies. Our partners wanted content policies with more strict violations for nudity, for images of people in swimsuits. They assumed it's adult content that they wanted to be removed from feed.
That's what I'm asking about exactly.
Yeah, and in Vietnam, the main content problem was that there was a lot of content with violent content which filmed animals. And I remember I saw a video of a crocodile eating a snake from the tail, and a snake eating a crocodile at the same moment.
Yeah. That's violent, isn't it? Like,
yeah, this is violence, but it gets also lots of user engagement. I think we have a second.
We have a second question. So from Yoon again. So he's saying that thanks for answering my first questions. I have one more question. From your experience, do you think labels from Toloka are enough of quality and can be directly used for AI classifier training purposes?
This is a great question. Yeah, I'm really happy that you asked. First of all, yeah, you have to estimate the quality of your training data. You can just rely you have to estimate it. Just take a sample of your training data and label it either yourself or with a trusted moderator. Usually of course, we have some noise in data. And when you train an AI classifier, sometimes it can even remove the noise that we have from individual performers who didn't mark content very well. So in most of the cases, I think, yeah, it's enough quality. But you have to have a good validation set that you trust. And also the important thing that we face when we're training our AI classifiers, for example, when we're trying to solve spam problem. Spam problem. Spam content, it looks like a lot. Sometimes like you have a lot of different content which is very close to each other. And if you just split the data to training data and to test data, you'll have examples which are very lookalike in both in training data and in test data. And you can get like very high accuracy on test data. And when you apply this classifier, you will see that the quality is not that good. So you have to put special attention on this data that looks alike each other. And with our service, what we found useful is that we split by timestamp. When we split by timestamp, we face it less, and we try to remove the content which looks too much close to each other. So we don't get high numbers on test data and very low numbers in prediction mode.
Cool.
And
Thank
I
you,
wanted to
Natalia.
say-
Hopefully we answered the question. One small little question before we wrap up. I know we have like 1 hour mostly gone. The instructions, people always ask what's the optimal length of instructions for Tolokas, in Toloka. And when you deal with moderation, of course, the instructions could be like pages and pages in different cases. Like, what is your approach? How long is the instruction in Toloka?
I also want to mention that we found the expert moderators, they write instructions much more with higher quality than analytics or something like this, because they are actually the people who label the content. And of course, I think with instruction, you have to have a really simple structure, and you have to have really good names for your classes, because we found that the name of the class that you put on a button, it affects the quality of the labeling much more than instruction itself. For example, when we were labeling untrusted medical advice, we've just put medicine on the button, and in this way, lots of workers, they assume that medicine, it means like all medical content. And they've put labels on all medical content. And when we change the button, we got the boost of the quality. So I think you have to have a really simple structure so that the performer who do not want to read a real long instruction, they could just, list it quickly, but see the main points. Yeah. But sometimes you have performers which are like really put time and effort in getting the instructions. And for these performers, you also have to list all nuances that you want to. So
Those
I think
performers are nice. Like I want only to work with this kind of performers, who read the instructions.
Yeah, you have them, and you have to give them bonuses. Yeah, money.
Especially, of course. I mean, like people are there to earn, their share. So
I want to add that if
please.
you have a really long instruction, you should know that you should split your project. You should decompose your project and make 2 small instructions. Yeah. And often we use we should show the structure of the instruction, and after that very, very short. And in case of some difficult task, Toloka can go deeper and read a long
undercut,
explanation.
Right? Like all those explanations, yes.
Yes, but for the most part of the task, he only used the short part.
Oh, of course, they don't want to spend a lot of time. Well, I think we are ready to wrap up. Maria and Natalia, big thanks to you. I think it was a great talk,
Thank you.
With many different insights. Thank you all who joined us today. A special thanks for Yoon, who asked us the questions. Guys, we are doing those different like meetups on very different topics very regularly. So please join us next time. And Rosmi, our customer success manager, is always online to get your questions, of course. Thank you very much. Have a productive day. Who is just starting their day, and thank you. See you
Thank you,
next
guys.
time.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.